Okay, so how long does it take for your body to start breaking down muscle tissue from lack of use and using it for energy, and therefore your muscles start shrinking? How long after you've worked out? How many days off can you take before those muscles start shrinking? Well, way back from the 70s until now, there's a lot of gym myth regarding that. And it can vary. The generally accepted truth is that when you train, if you train your chest on a Monday, well, 72 hours later, you better work that muscle again. That was accepted truth for decades. So twice a week on a body part. So every 72 hours or so. If you didn't train that muscle every 72 hours, it shrank. That was the belief. It would shrink. Well, now today we understand that that's just not so true. Number one, a lot of people started training their body parts only once a week and found that their muscles didn't shrink. So that's better. That's better. So once a week even. But there's definitely a deep held belief system where everybody in the gym, most people believe that if you don't train that muscle again within a week, it's going to start to shrink. So let's get this straight. If it's International Chest Day, Monday, of course, and you're training your chest, and you hit it hard, and you dig a hole of energy, and your body fills that hole back in over the next few days, and then you grow a nice new layer of muscle tissue as a result of that Monday workout, right? That's what we all hope for, so let's just assume it's true. You've grown, at the very least you've maintained that muscle tissue, right? But let's say you grew some new muscle tissue. That would happen somewhere around Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, after you've trained on Monday, that chest. So by the weekend, you have that new layer of muscle tissue, don't you? Well, here we are now, rolling around to Monday, and it's International Chest Day once again. So that means you should train your chest again, right? Well, here's the thing. I had the benefit of learning from one of the icons of bodybuilding, Mke Mentzer. He was a Mr. Universe and a Mr. America back in the 1970s, late 70s. And then he was a runner-up at Mr. Olympia, as well as having placed very high. Besides that, and as a radical thinking pro bodybuilder at that time, he kind of went against the grain with traditional training and thought, and that was he didn't train every day. He didn't train each body part every 72 hours. As a matter of fact, he was training them way less than that. And as a result, he learned that between that type of training and then taking layoffs, he learned that the muscle tissue didn't just disappear. As well, he ended up eventually, through the 90s, training clients, and in person as well as on the phone clients, phone consultations around the world, he ended up literally handling thousands of people's routines. Now, as a result of that, he learned that muscle tissue just doesn't disappear if you stop training. So, how long does it take? And in talking with him, he shared with me that it was his belief that it took about a month on the average. If you took a bell curve with the majority of the people being in the middle, that 84%, and then you have 16%, 8 and 8 on each end of the bell curve. 84% of the people, generally, in about a month, if they have not used that new muscle tissue that they've developed, the muscle will start to break down or degrade. That was his discovery. Now, of course, remember, we have these people, the 8%ers on each side. 8% way less than 1 month. 8% much longer than 1 month. You get it? So, in my own training as well as with my clients, I'm going to share with you a quick story in a moment, I have found that generally when those clients take off, and they're on a break, whether it's a forced layoff due to their job, or family or some sort of an obligation, or if they've just simply chosen to take a layoff on purpose. And they've gone 2 weeks. That's an average with my clients. Take 2 weeks off, okay? So with that 2 weeks off, we have found over the years that really there's zero change in muscular development, visually as well, as well as what they feel. There's no change after 2 weeks. The muscle is still there. I'm not talking about their strength, okay? So just so we're clear, not talking about strength. I'm only talking about their appearance of muscle tissue, having their muscle tissue, right? So that muscle tissue, after 2 weeks of taking a layoff, does not disappear. They come back in the gym, they start training. Whether or not their strength is the same, irrelevant. I'm talking about the visual effect of the muscle being there or not. So that's all I'm talking about. I'm not saying it's completely irrelevant, but does the muscle disappear? Or is a lot of it in your head? Is it a lot of it because I haven't felt a pump in that muscle from working out? Suddenly I think it's shrinking, or I think it's not as pumped and full looking. You see what I'm saying? So 2 weeks, most of my clients will take off from training. And when they do, they return back to the gym having noticed no significant muscle loss. Okay, tell you a quick story. So I had one of my clients over the years, he worked for, this is going back to the late 90s, and he worked for Bill Clinton, President Bill Clinton. And he was called from LA to go to DC, Washington, DC, and he went there to work for 2 straight months. He was gone exactly 8 weeks. Now, when he was gone, he told me all he did was jog in the streets, and that was whenever he could, which was usually in the middle of the night. How dangerous. But he was out there jogging, and that's all he did. He couldn't get to the gym, didn't lift weights, did none of that. And when he came back 8 weeks later, he shared with me that he didn't think he lost any muscle tissue. He was posing for me, showed me the muscles on his body. He looked great. And he even said his wife didn't notice any difference either, that he looks great. And he felt great about it too. Sure enough, we go in the gym and his performance was pretty good. In all of the body parts and all the exercise that we did, it was pretty good. So I have to say, this man went 8 weeks with no significant, obvious muscle tissue loss. Now, we didn't do any isotope studies. We didn't do any, water displacement studies. We didn't do any of that body fat measurement, electric impedance. We didn't do any of that. But I'm going just by what he said and also how he looked. So I took that to Mke Mentzer. At the time he was still alive. And I told him about this. And that's when he said to me, possible. You have one of those freaks, one of those genetic freaks, all the way out on this end of the bell curve, in that little 8% section right there. As well, he said he noticed many times that people would take 3 weeks off on this end of the bell curve. They would take 3 weeks off, and they were shrinking round about 2.5 weeks or so. Their muscles were disappearing, and as well, their strength went down the toilet. So, just giving you some food for thought today when you design your own workout program, as well as decide on when you need to take a layoff. Layoffs are fabulous for you. They give your body a chance to recover all of its deep energy reserves, as well as your joints and your soft tissues, a chance to recover and heal up any minor injuries. But it also gives your mind a chance to refresh and step out of the gym and out of your normal situation. If you go to one gym on a regular basis, it gives you the chance to break your habit as well as your social habit and get out of that gym fearlessly. The muscle does not disappear overnight. Let's be clear about that. It does not disappear overnight. So, take it for what this is worth. I'm just sharing with you a couple of anecdotal observation stories that I've had, that Mike had when he was alive. But that's it for today. From my heart to you, John Hart, thank you very much.
Please hit that subscribe button before you leave, and feel free to comment on this video or Leave a comment with any of your suggestions on any future videos that you would like to see me do on any particular subject matter having to do with fitness, diet, and health. Thank you.